I think she deserves a seat unapologetically, and I have decided to take her back. Hi, I'm Carol Podell, and this is She Takes the Lead. Hi, everyone. Welcome. I am very excited to be here and to start this podcast. And I really look forward to connecting with you and seeing where this goes. So, the Barbie movie came out a couple of months ago, actually. I went with the three blondest of my mom friends. Well, one of us just met for dinner, but she'd seen it. We all went out, we all wore pink, and in a flash, when it came out, Barbie was everywhere. Barbie cartoons were suddenly front and center on our Netflix account. My daughter was watching Barbie. I'd actually never given her Barbie, nor had I, invited her to see it on television. But all of a sudden, there were three versions of cartoons. Pink became the new black this season, which my daughter actually is thrilled about because pink is her favorite color. Her second favorite color is rainbow, which is also adorable. I grew up playing with Barbies. I wasn't obsessed with them like you hear some other kids, and I didn't detest them either. Like I've also heard, my generation, they were very much, a part of the culture of what you were playing with. And I'm certain I made all of them into Weird Barbie because I loved cutting their hair, and I didn't actually realize that they wouldn't grow back. I mean, I guess I did, but I decided I didn't care or something. I love what the creator of Barbie, so her name is Ruth Handler. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it yet, it's been several months, and that's no longer my problem. No disrespect. She created this doll to show her daughter Barbara that she could do anything and that she could be anything, that she could imagine a future. I assume before this, dolls were pretty much like baby dolls. At least that was sort of in the movie. And the only game you could play with baby dolls was Mommy and House. And as I'm sure many of the women listening know, that's pretty limiting. I'm sure the men listening know that's limiting. She wanted, more for her kid. She saw a white space, which is kind of cool at that time too. So she made Barbie so that her daughter would have something to look up to. Side note, she basically created a blonde-haired, blue-eyed, white pinup model with an unattainable figure to most women. And I do know many, many people that did not see themselves in her because she was blonde haired, blue eyed, or even white. And it pretty much alienated a lot of children as well. So I just want to kind of put that out there. I am blonde haired, blue eyed, and white. So I did sort of see myself on the other side of that. There was a lot of body dysmorphia from that I understand from a cultural perspective, and I was there with everyone else. I think her intention was really great, especially in that day and age, and as a businesswoman who saw that market and came from such an organic place, I mad respect. Anyway, I've had several conversations with friends who've since seen the movie, who really identified with Barbies and how they shaped them, and friends who are mad at that. I have a friend whose daughter played with Barbies, but she did something pretty cool. She created a Barbie Graveyard. When her daughter was young, instead of having Barbie with the long flowy hair and the dresses and everything else, she created Barbie Graveyard, which was Barbies with decapitated heads and no limbs, and the bottom half is cut off and they're stuck in dirt, and it was just brilliant. And this went on for her entire life. The little girl is now 18 and apparently had a Barbie graveyard party. And she actually sent me some pictures, which I will include in the show notes. It's pretty cool. It's hard to imagine, so please go check out the show notes. This was her way of taking back the power that Barbie seemed to have, removing all the stigma and all the body dysmorphia and all the idealization of it and everything that sort of represented removing the power of women. So clearly, this was her way of removing all the stigma that Barbie also represents, and thus removing her power, but still giving her dolls to play with and understanding. I think that empowering her to be able to do what she wants with the Barbies, which is, or do what she wants with anything. I mean, it's not all about a Barbie, but it's interesting, I think, because this is so culturally female, what we ended up doing with Barbie, because we as a society took something, a doll, right? It's just a doll, it's an inanimate object, and took her image, this unattainable figure, and assigned it as the ultimate. And over the years, I mean, figures have changed. I believe that the figures of the dolls have changed somewhat, but it's still like culturally, in many cultures, Barbie, as she is or was back then and now, would not be considered pretty and would not be considered the ideal pretty, which I at the time, like the blonde haired, blue eyed pinup model was like the look, like the Marilyn Monroes and that kind of thing. Now beauty is so different and everybody's got different curves, and you've got the Kardashians, and then you've got J Lo, and then you've got, I don't know, I'm a little out of the loop on who's hot now, but there's a lot of other options. But we really did, we like assigned that this doll was the penultimate, created her as an icon, like an idol that was perfect. And it instilled a version of perfection in all of the women or girls back then who were playing with her. And that's what we were to live up to. So when I was a kid, the Muppets were very big. I know it's a segue, but stay with me. I know they still are, but the show was created in the 70s. I think it was 74. I was a big fan. Back then, they had three main channels to choose from, and two local ones that aired cartoons and old Abbott and Costello shows on the weekend. So it was pretty limited in what to watch. And also, I was a kid, limited compared to today. The Muppets was a great show. Kermit and Fozzie the Bear and Gonzo and the ever present Miss Piggy, the token woman, I guess, and pretty much the comic relief as a pig in a wig, wearing pearls and long opera gloves and, chasing Kermit, trying to kiss him because she loved him so, but he didn't want anything to do with her. And like that was the joke that she never clued in on. She never clued in, but she had so much confidence in herself. The idea that Kermit wasn't into her was like unfathomable. And the pig in a wig was irresistible. And she misinterpreted everything. And she was always there and always seducing. Now, when I was a kid, I was overweight. Not really fat, but I was definitely in the chubby category. And I was teased a lot. This was well before the term bullying was, a thing. So I will say I was teased, and I had a learning disability in school. So I was going through a lot as a kid, trying to fit in and just standing out in all the ways that a kid does not want to do. And at my particular school kept having administrative changes, and my particular class was kind of a terror. I think actually each year the teacher who had our class not only left the school, but left the profession after us. I had the learning disability, but nobody knew it. We didn't know that I had it at the time. So nobody knew what to do. So anyway, between my love of food and my difficulty learning, I was kind of an easy target. And I had a little turned up nose. I still have a little turned up nose, which I actually hated at the time because I was dubbed, ta-da, Miss Piggy. Yeah, the pig in a wig that didn't know the man she was chasing or the frog she was chasing wasn't into her. And I hated it. And then I hated her because I hated what she represented, because what she represented was everything that I don't or didn't like about myself, because it made me stand out in a way that just hurt, that made me feel bad. It wasn't my nickname per se, but like the kids, probably was just a few if I were to really go back and think about it, but they would come up to me during this time and say, "Oh my God, Carol, wow, you know who you look like with your nose turned up?" And of course, it was Miss Piggy. And of course, like it's just embarrassing. Side note that's probably a little off color, but one of the girls who was particularly not nice to me at around 13 for like a bat mitzvah present, which was unusual back then, got plastic surgery and ended up getting the same nose as mine. Or at least as much as possible, which I found very delightful at the time. And now I hope she's a very successful, very lovely person and has learned not to be mean to people or not to bully people. Anyway, one way or another, it made me feel awful and loathe Miss Piggy as a character. So now, like, years later, I'm raising my 5-year-old little girl, and the Muppets are still across the airways or streaming or whatever. And when she was a baby and people were sending her stuffies, a friend sent us stuffed animal of Kermit and a Miss Piggy, and I hated it. When it first came, I actually asked her if she wanted to give it away. I didn't even realize that was strange since I didn't do that with any other toy at the time, because that's also weird. She, of course, didn't. So Miss Piggy and Kermit have been roaming the house for a few years now, not really played with much, but ever present. They go from her basket with stuffed animals to her bed to whatever, all over her room. It's ever present. My daughter hangs out with my parents until I get home from work most nights, and they watch a lot of TV, far more than she should, but that's a different conversation and it's a different struggle. But the thing is that their programming is also different. She just watches different things when she's at home than when she does when she's with mom and pop. So one night I came home to get her, and she's watching, big reveal, the Muppets. And she was engrossed, and she asked me to come sit down next to her. And I put my stuff down and I sit on the couch next to her, and we start to snuggle a little bit. And after a few minutes of watching the team, Kermit, Fozzie, Gonzo, Miss Piggy, without skipping a beat, she goes, "Mommy, I like Miss Piggy the best." Randomly, totally out of the blue. And I was like, "Oh, why?" And she goes, "Because she's beautiful and she wants to make everything beautiful just like her." And I just nodded and basically said, "Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true. She is very beautiful and she does want to make everything more beautiful. And that's an amazing thing." And we went back to watching for a few more minutes until she asked to watch like Paw Patrol or something like that. It took me aback so much. It's such a little nothing, really. Like, she's an observation about a show and everything else. But it's so not in so many ways. Like this little person, this little girl that I'm trying to raise, right, is like this strong, capable, and confident little girl. I mean, she's 5, thinks that Miss Piggy, this strong, capable, and confident character, really is not annoying or fat or ugly. All the things that I assigned the doll, all the things that I assigned the puppet to be, because it had an experience that obviously hurt me a great deal. None of those things really even exist for my kid. She lives in the world. We all live in the world. But what she sees in life, and that's very much curated by me, but what she sees in life are strong and capable and confident people, confident women, confident men. I do my best to hold it together when I can. I also do my best to show her that strong and capable does not mean unflappable and unfeeling. Also, none of the things that I assigned Miss Piggy to have, which is that she's fat and that she's strange and that she's running around chasing, well, frogs and like, which in and of itself is weird, but, and getting rejected and not caring. She probably doesn't understand the dynamic that they're setting up also, but she sees this like blonde, like her mom, this little person, this little girl I'm trying to raise to be strong and capable and confident, thinks Miss Piggy is strong and capable and confident. And she's not a joke. She's none of those things. First of all, because my daughter doesn't really have a reference of, and may she never, of that fatness means badness. And she doesn't really understand the dynamics of making a person a joke, which may she never. And also, in my house, we don't use words like ugly. And there is no reference of what is unattractive in that way. People are different. They have different things that they're good at. They have different ways that they look, and they're all beautiful. And I try to let her, dress how she wants and do her hair how she wants or whatever. Not that she really brushes her hair ever, so it's not an issue, but whatever. Anyway, we don't use these words, and she's being raised to love and be kind and welcome all humans and see them all as humans. That beauty is not capital, I don't know, by the grace of God or whatever you believe in, her reference for beauty still, and I'm going to keep trying to do this, work comes from within. It comes from me and her mom and pop, my parents, and her little friends and their parents and teachers from school and the community in our amazing building and our amazing area. And fortunately, we're very lucky. We ended up meeting a great group of families that she's good friends with the kids and I'm good friends with the parents, and we're all sort of like-minded as parents. So she's not getting a great deal of something that I feel is not how I want her raised. For her, Miss Piggy is not a pig in a wig. She's kind of her own thing, her own self, whoever she wants to be. And that's what makes her beautiful. Similarly to what Margot Robbie and Greta Gerwig and now all of these women in America are doing with Barbie, they are assigning her or reassigning her that she's whoever she wants to be, that she's not the pinup model, that she is her own self. And that is also what makes her beautiful. I mean, the other part that's kind of, just honest is that I'd be lying if I didn't actually acknowledge that Miss Piggy and I do look a little alike in, like a puppet to human being way. We both have long blonde hair. I do have a turned up nose. I'm a normal average size woman and I had a baby and I'm soft around the middle. And we're also both quite verbose, a little aggressive, and we're both sort of strong, independent women who go after what we want with verve. And I want her to know that she is also that. And she is learning that she is also that. So I had filled about 3 trash bags full. God, it seemed like hundreds of stuffed animals that had been given to her over the years that she just wasn't using. And I live in a New York City apartment, and for New York standards, it's actually even a decent size apartment, but it's just like too many stuffies that don't get touched. So I'm a little bit brutal around just trying to get rid of them. So I had these 3 trash bags. They were left in the foyer to be donated. And in one of those bags, I deliberately put her Miss Piggy doll, like hid it inside so she wouldn't see it to get it out of the house. I took it out and I put it on the piano, perched next to my Maya Angelou Inspiring Women Barbie collection doll, which for the record, I've had for years because she's one of my favorite humans, and her Ruth Bader Ginsburg stuffy. It's like a stuffed doll that another one of my powerful, strong, smart women friends gave her as a birthday present. Now, I know Miss Piggy is not a perfect character, and putting her next to Maya Angelou and RBG is a little bit extreme. She's not necessarily inspiring in the same way as these 2 other icons, these legends that have literally created a movement for women. But I think she deserves a seat unapologetically. And I have decided to take her back because uniqueness is beautiful and because creativity is beautiful and passion is beautiful. And whatever you want is beautiful. I have held on to this subconscious inner hatred towards myself as it relates to this character for decades, and I am releasing it. And I'm going to keep trying to be more like her instead of less like her because she is unique and because she is outright and because she does love big. I'm going to try to own my own powerhouseness more unapologetically, not just for me, although that's really important. This little girl I have taken on to raise really needs it. She wants it. She wants to see that. She deserves to see it. What are some of the things that were outside of the norm that people made you feel bad about, that you pushed away because you were in a room of people who were limited in their view? They couldn't see past what they needed to see or what they were told they were supposed to see. And what are they to you now? Are they shameful? Or have you been able to turn them into strengths? Have you been able to embrace your own unique self as a result? I really want to know. I want to hear more stories about that. And I want to hear about the symbols that we have, that we subconsciously just walk around with, that we've assigned power to, that are literally just inanimate objects, that are literally just a frame on a wall. You put whatever you want in the frame, it's just hanging on the wall. I want to know. And I'd really love to hear from you about it, because I want to start taking more back. I want to be my unique self. It sounds like such a line now, but I really do. I want to be more myself every year. I want to try and be more myself, because I want to show my kid that she can be more herself. And that's taken me multiple decades to figure out. And I would really love for her to figure it out, or just know it off the bat, just know it in her bones. And I've already done the footwork of some of these things that need to get worked out. She doesn't need to work out my issues. She's going to have plenty of her own. Hey, thanks so much for listening. If you like what you heard, please hit subscribe. Also, if you want to keep in touch, go to Insta at About a Blonde or Facebook at About a Blonde Official. Also, you can sign up for my mailing list at www.aboutablonde.com. Have a great day. Mwah!